There you go. Okay, so here we are, Stuka Joe here. We're going to go 1 hour with Land and Freedom. This is like a new format where I play the game slowly while I explain like the rules. One sample turn, so you get the gist of it instead of being a very dry rules video. And if you are interested, you can ask, and I'll make an extra effort to look at the comments, which I have really nearby. So let's see how this goes. This is a game designed by Alex Knight. Alex is going to be in the San Diego HISCon virtual convention that is this weekend. He's going to talk about this game, so I'm going to also tune into that. This is a game about the Spanish Civil War, but it's a different take, strictly from the Republican side. If you're familiar with the Spanish Civil War, the Republic was a very fragile alliance of various factions. And in the game, you have communists and you have also moderates. And moderates are like the social democrats, liberal politicians, that sort of thing. And then, of course, we have the anarchists. And one of the reasons why the Republic lost is because these factions didn't get along at all, and they would fight within each other, but literally fighting. The anarchists were driven out of the power they had by the communists, and then in turn, the communists had infighting between themselves to the extent that in Barcelona there was a civil war on the Republican side. With the Moscow-backed communists ousting the Spanish homegrown communists. So it's kind of the dynamics that were going on with the Spanish Republic, which the nationalists didn't have that problem. Franco was lucky that José Antonio Primo de Rivera, the leader of the fascist militia known as the Falange, was in an Alicante prison. He was imprisoned when the war started and then quickly executed. And the Carlists, which were the Spaniards that were conservative, that wanted to put the king back in power, really didn't give Franco a hard time. So the nationalists don't have any problem at all with presenting a cohesive front. The Republicans do. And that's why the Republicans, I think, are always the most interesting side to play when you're playing any Spanish Civil War game, like, for example, Crusade and Revolution. The Republic is the more interesting side. I always take the Republic. Here we have Chip Rausch, the box cover. Yes, it's a nice painting there of a lady carrying the Republican flag, and you see the flags in the background. Communist, the anarchist flag on the right, and the symbol that they use here for the moderates is actually the symbol for the international brigades, I believe. And this is a card-driven game. You're going to see that each of the sides has a deck of 18 cards, and you play one card per round. But the nationalists are controlled by the AI. The nationalist is basically a deck of cards like the one that you see here. And it is divided by years. There's 3 years in the game. And year 1 is 1936 to 37. So when 1 year ends, you bring the cards for the other year into play. So we're just going to play the game, and I will be explaining along as we play the game. So let's take a look, yes, at the map and board before we start so that everything makes sense. Okay, the board obviously is a simplification of the situation of the fronts in the Spanish Civil War. You see that there are 4 fronts that are represented in this game. We have, for example, the Southern Front. This is the area like around Andalusia, and then you see a symbol there of the communists, meaning that this front affects the communists more than anybody else. It's like their front that they have to take care about. Then we have the Aragon Front, and if you are familiar with the Spanish Civil War, at the beginning of the game, Barcelona was an anarchist stronghold, and from Barcelona they marched towards Zaragoza in Aragon, trying to capture Zaragoza. The anarchists couldn't. So this is the Aragon Front, and of course, the anarchists are the side, the faction that has to take care mostly of that front, and that's going to affect them the most. And then we have the very delicate Northern Front. You see here that right at the beginning of the Spanish Civil War, the provinces here, the Basque Country, Santander, and here you have, here is the Basque Country, you have Guernica, Santander, and Asturias were isolated from the rest of the Republican sector. And Franco decided as a strategy in 1937 to eliminate that pocket or that front in the north so that he could concentrate then in the south. So the North Front is basically a front that the moderates have to take care of. And then we have the most important front in the game. That's why it's in caps, and it is underlined, Madrid. The way that the situation in the fronts is represented is by the use of these markers that you see there. You see it has the Spanish helmet, and it represents the nationalist. This side has the nationalist on one side, the nationalist helmet, and the other one has the helmet of the International Brigades. The Republican side is this one. So what this means is each one of these tokens represents, on the nationalist side, a -1 to the status of the front. If the front reaches -10, we, the Republicans, we lose that front. So right now, at the beginning of the game, in each one of these sectors, the situation is -2. There's 2, what they call attack tokens, nationalist attack tokens. Each one is worth -1. So it's -2 in the Southern Front, -2 in Madrid, -2 in Aragon, and -2 in the Northern Front. And that's going to be increased with the play of these fascist cards. These cards are going to bring more nationalist attacks in each one of those fronts. And one of the things that we, as part of the Republican side, have to do is to contribute our efforts into placing these army tokens, nationalist army tokens, to then bring it to the positive. You see there it says +1 to a front. And conversely, if any of these fronts reaches +10, then we win the front. We win the front, and then that's the end of that front for the rest of the game. And then we just fight on the other fronts. And for example, if we win on a particular front, we place this card here, victory on a front. Here's all the effects of winning a front. Now, if we lose a front, we place this card. Let's say we lose the Southern Front. We do this, defeat on a front. And of course, if we lose Madrid and it goes to -10, the Republicans lose the war. The three players lose the game. If we lose two of the other fronts, we also lose the game. So that's the way that you can lose the game. Now, in order for any of the three players to win the game, we have to win the Spanish Civil War. And the way that that is represented is by having two of these fronts, three of the fronts at +10. So it could be the Southern, Aragon, Madrid. Three of the four have to be at +10 at the end of the game. So that is easier said than done. And in many instances, you play this game and everybody loses. But if that happens, and there's three fronts at +10, each one of those three fronts, then we determine which player wins the game. And for that, we use this bag called the Bag of Glory. And this Bag of Glory holds tokens with the symbols of each of the sides. At the beginning of the game, there's one token for each side inside the bag. And then the side that holds the initiative at the end of each turn gets to place one of its tokens inside the bag. So holding the initiative not only means that you go first, but you place a token of your side inside the bag at the end of a turn. Now, in this game, there's 4 turns per year. So we start with the first year, and at the end of each time that we end a year, at the end of each of the years, whoever has the initiative, instead of placing one token inside the bag, places 2 tokens inside the bag. So that's how important initiative is in this game. Now, the cool thing I think about this game is the way it handles the priorities and how each of these sides had completely different priorities from the other sides. And you may ask yourself, well, how do you get the initiative? Because that's how you win, is by obtaining the initiative and maximizing the amount of your tokens that go into the glory bag. So at the end of the game, we draw from the glory bag tokens, and the player that has the majority of tokens drawn from the glory bag wins. But how do you obtain initiative each turn? Okay, so we're talking about the anarchist first. And here you see the 2 tracks that pertain to the anarchist. You have a liberty track, and that's signified by the woman militia woman holding the anarchist flag. That's the liberty track. And it starts at 5. And then you have the collectivization track. Remember, the anarchists, one of the problems they had with the rest of the Republican side is that they were fighting for this utopia of liberating the land and giving it to the workers and no private property. And they went at it with such devotion that they, wherever they would control militarily any region, they would engage in doing all this with the war raging on. And of course, you have to first win the war and then worry about then how you're going to govern. But there was no convincing the anarchists, and that's the big beef that they had with the communists. The communists were much more practical. They knew they had to win the war first, but the anarchists wanted liberty and collectivization at all costs. So these are their priorities. Now you see here, they start at 5 and 5 on the track. For them to have the initiative, they have it anytime both of these markers are in the 6 box. And you see that the 6 box contains the anarchist flag as a reminder that that is how they obtain the initiative, by having both tracks at level 6. But at the beginning of the game, they start in level 5. So let's say that not both of the anarchist tracks are at level 6. So we then see which of the other 2 factions controls the initiative. And it's going to be the faction that controls the government. And this is the other track that you see here. You see the government track is in 2 colors, red, because it pertains to the communists. And you have purple because it pertains also to the moderates. So the way that this track works is that at the beginning of the game, the marker is in the number 6 box. So the moderates begin the game with the initiative, and that's why you see here the initiative marker in the moderate display. Now, this particular track, if it moves to the left, if it moves just 1 box to the left, then if the anarchists do not have their both of their tracks at level 6, then the communists will take control of the government. And then, of course, at the end of the turn, they'll get an initiative marker. Okay. But look at this track. Let's take a closer look. There's some effects. If the marker, for example, here, if it goes to the number 4 box, you see that it has there the picture of Stalin, and there's an immediate effect there. This is one of the triggers in the game. And the trigger there is that the other track that pertains to the communists, which is the Soviet support track, then goes up by 1. Here you see the Soviet support track, which starts at 3. It would go up by 1. Now let's take a closer look again at the government track. You see that it is at level 4 here. And there is like this heavy line here. It cannot enter level 3. You cannot move it to level 3 unless Soviet support is at 8 or more. So in this game, you see that one track depends on the other. The government track for the communists to maximize their control of the government and bring it over here to the number 1 spot where you have that medallion, which is like a bonus of actions that you're going to get. You have to, as the communists, have Soviet support at 8. And here you see the Soviet support track. They start at level 3. And to get to 8, it takes a little while. So you see that the communists will want to increase Soviet support. And by increasing Soviet support, look what happens. Look at that number 5 box. It shows the symbol for the anarchist liberty track, and it says that it goes down by 1. So if the communists increase Soviet support to 5, that's going to bring the anarchist liberty level down by 1. So instead of 5, it would go down to 4. So I think you're getting an idea of how these tracks work and how they impact play. The more that you advance on one of your tracks, it's going to affect the other member of your coalition. Remember, these are factions that are in the same coalition, and this game really needs cooperation between the players in order to not lose the war, to win the war first and then see who wins. So you have this very interesting situation reflected in the game. And here we have Jeffrey Miller, a Ukraine game with a U.S. support track. Yeah, I bet you there will be. Yes. So that's how these tracks work. Now, let's start playing the game so that you get an idea, because we're just going to go for 1 hour. And the first thing that we do, and we're going to refer here to the turn sequence, we draw a fascist card. And so this is the fascist deck there. So we draw a fascist card. Okay. And let's flip the card over to see what it is. Okay, and it reads Unión Militar Española, which means in English, Military Spanish Union. And you see that the card at left has some immediate effects on the war, the first 2. You see it has an M with a helmet marker. That means that the Madrid front gets a -3. So we look here at the Madrid front, which is currently at -2, and we have to add 3 more markers to the Madrid front. So now the Madrid front is at -5. So if it goes to -10, we lose the war. So now we have a very delicate situation in Madrid. Now, to keep things tidy, I'm going to signify a stack of these markers as 5. So we have here -5 in Madrid. So that is the first effect that we see there. And then we see that in the northern front, the N means the northern front, there is 2. So that we add 2 more markers to the northern front. So we see 2 there. So now the northern front is at -4. And we still have another of these icons to take care. You see it here. This is the icon that has to do with, this is called the teamwork bonus. And this is a mechanic that the game has, which allows players to combine their actions together, which is good for the Republican side. But this particular symbol that you see here is the one that means that we have to turn off that bonus. And at the beginning of the game, oops, sorry for that movement there. At the beginning of the game, we see that the teamwork bonus is on. So we have to flip it. And right now it's going to be off. So that's obviously all of those effects are not good for us. So those are the effects of the fascist card. But there's another one. And this is the test. Each of these cards has a test. And that's in the brown box there. You see there that it says that if at the end of the turn, the Madrid front is at 0 or better, right now it's at -5, then what happens is that each of the players can add 1 more card to their hand. You see it there? Now, if that fails, and at the end of the turn, the Madrid front is at -1 or worse, then you see the symbol there. That means that the government track is, let me see, that particular symbol means the government track is moved 1 space towards the center. So let's see what that would mean. You see here that the government track currently is on the 6th space, and the center is right here. So if it's moved 1 space towards the center, it's going to move to space number 5. Okay, so that would be the effect, and it would give control of the government to the communists unless the anarchists increased both of their tracks during the turn to level 6. Okay, so those are the effects of the fascist card. So in the game, what happens now is that each of the players secretly select 1 card, and each of the players has a hand of 5 cards, 2, 3, 4, 5 from the draw deck. In turn 1, it's a hand of 5 cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For the communists, the moderates, and we would do the same here for the anarchists. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. So the initiative player would go first, and that is the moderates. I'm just going to place the cards here, and the player would pick 1 card. Now, of course, this is a 3-player game. There's a version where there's bots for non-players. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to select one of these cards randomly, and we'll pick the best option within the card so that we can just move on with the demonstration here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So let's roll 1d6, and we're 6. So let's roll again until we get something between a 1 and a 5. So here we go. And it is a 1. Okay, so they're gonna play this card, and the moderates have the initiative, so they play this card, and we play it here. And now let's take a closer look at the card and see how cards are played in this game. You see that cards have a number on the top left corner. If you're familiar with card-driven games, this is normally what is called action points. So the same happens here. That's action points. That means we can take a number of actions using that card, 2 actions, and we can use that card, for example, to advance any of these tracks that we have here in the direction that we want. So we could use that track here for the that card to advance in the foreign aid track, which is the track that is of the that is of importance to the moderates, to advance it 2 spaces here, because the moderates need that foreign aid be at level 8 or higher in order to reach the higher spaces of government control. So that's one way we can use action points. We can also use action points in order to bring the situation at the fronts to our side and place 2 of our markers. We have these markers here, which are the back of the markers that you see for the nationalists, where it says -1 to a front. The other side says +1 to the front. So let's say that that we're going to use the 2 points to bring the Southern Front to a better situation. We're playing well. Let's say they're going to use it in the Madrid front, right? Madrid has a -5 situation. So the way that this works is we would be placing these 2, but these 2 have the effect of eliminating 2 of the Madrid front markers. So now the situation in Madrid would be a -3 instead of -5. And let's say that that is the action that they're going to take with those 2 action points. But just to complete the thought here, you see that the card can also be played for its event. And if we play this card for its event, then you implement these effects in that order. You reduce collectivization by 3. That's bad for the anarchist. You add 2 to the government track, which is good for the moderates who are playing this card. And you draw 2 cards. The downside of playing a card for its event is that it is removed permanently from the game. It doesn't come back. And in this particular game, when you play a card for the points, it doesn't leave. It goes to the player's tableau. So we're going to show you now. So this card was played. So this card is now placed in the tableau for the how do you call it? Here it is. Let me just get some space here for the moderates. Here you see the tableau. So we place this card here. And why is the tableau important? Because you see these icons that the card has. The next time we play any card for action points, if the card that we played has one of these actions, we can multiply. For example, we can move the marker 2 spaces on this track, or we can implement this action twice or this action twice. And if we have another card with the same symbol, it would be 3 times or 4 times, depending how many cards we have in the tableau with the same symbol. So that's a way that you have more actions by playing cards and matching the icons that you have with other cards in the tableau. So the moderates played that card. That was their first card played in this turn. Now, because the initiative marker at the beginning of the game, turn 1, goes in a clockwise faction, now the next faction to play a card is the communist faction. So let's lay out the cards here. 2, 3, 4, and 5. And let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's select one card randomly there. And And it is a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Outlaw the Poem. So here we see this card. Let's place it here. So this is a particular card which is interesting. This is Andres. This is Andres Nin, who was the leader of the Poem. That was the Communist Party, the Spanish Communist Party that didn't want to take orders from Moscow. And he was assassinated by the Stalinists, communists. And that's one of the examples that we have this infighting between all of the people that are supposed to be on the same side. Now, this is a card that can be played for its 2 points. And if there would be cards in the tableau that have the increased Soviet support, we could use this card and the one in the tableau for moving that track around. And this is the government moving the marker on the government track. So, but right now there's no cards in the tableau. And we have here the effects if we use the card as an event. Now we're not going to use it as an event. So let's see what we will do with this particular side here. To give you an idea of how the Soviet support marker would be moved, we're going to use both points here to move that Soviet support marker 2 spaces. So here's the Soviet support marker. Now it moves 2 spaces to the number 5 box, and look what happens to the anarchist liberty track. It goes down by 1, so let's reduce that over here by 1. So now it is at 4. And now that card, which is the Outlaw the Poem, goes to the tableau of the communists. So we place that card here in the tableau. And that is the communists' move or card played. And now we have to select the card from the anarchists. So let's flip these cards and select one randomly. And again, this is a game that you would select the card consciously, you know, taking the best card possible. We're just doing it for the mechanics here. So we will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here we go. And it is a 5. So in that case, it is this card here. And this is Iron Column. So this card is a 1 card. It says remove up to 3 attacks from a front. So this one looks like it could be convenient to use it now for its event. And we'll do so. We'll play it for its event, and it's going to be removed. So we remove up to 3 attacks from a front, and it says place 2 back, -2 on any front. Okay, so we remove 3 attacks from the Madrid front here. So those go out. Now it says that we have to place 2 back, -2 on any front. So that means we have to, one front has to have a -2. So what we're really doing is undressing the Madrid front to dress some other front here. So it's going to be, let's send it over here to Aragon. So Aragon will have -2 there, added. Here we go. I just added here to Aragon. Forgot to show you these 2. And then let's see what else is on the card. It states that collectivization goes up by 1 and we draw 2 cards. Okay. So collectivization goes now to 6. But notice that we will not have the initiative unless, and I'm talking like the anarchist, unless the liberty marker goes up to 6. And the other effect is that we would draw 2 additional cards. So what that would do is give us more card choice, because each turn is just 4 rounds. And one is guerrillas, and the other one is collectivize agriculture. Okay. So that is the first turn of the first year. So if we go to our turn sequence, which we'll go now. Oh, we haven't finished. We finished the player turns. Now we have to resolve the fascist tests. And the fascist test here was this one here. Madrid front 0 or better, then everybody gets 1 card. And that the Madrid front is now at 0. So everybody gets 1 card, 1 additional card. So let's give the communists 1 more card. We give the moderates 1 more card. And the anarchists also get 1 more card. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else here. That's the test. Just get 1 more card. Okay. Now, the next step is that the initiative player adds tokens to the bag of glory. Okay. So we'll do that now. Now, the bag of glory, you have it here. These 3 are the ones that start the game inside the bag. I had them outside so that you would see what starts in the bag. So we place those 3 in the bag, and the initiative is still with the moderates. Remember, the anarchists don't have the initiative because liberty is at 4. They would need liberty to be at 6. And because they do not have the initiative, those that do have the initiative are the moderates, and they have it just by 1 space, by having the marker in the number 6 box. So that means that the moderates get to add 1 token to one of their tokens. Here we have it, to the bag of glory. And remember, at the end of the turn, the first, at the end of the turn, we draw. At the end of the, yes, at the end of the turn, we draw from the bag of glory. Okay, so that is the, okay. No, I think I did something wrong. One something, play card and spend, resolve initial player adds to the bag of glory. Yeah, we don't add this yet. That's at the end of the turn. We're not at the end of the turn. We're at the end of the first card of the turn. So let me redo that. And I'll take out the moderate token from the bag. And not yet, because we haven't played the other cards. Now we're going in initiative order, and it's the moderate's turn now. And this goes here, the tableau. So now the moderates have these cards here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they go, and let's say they're gonna play a card here. And it's a 3, 1, 2, 3, Ernest Hemingway. No, wait, backtrack, I'm doing it wrong. I'm supposed to draw now a fascist card, another fascist card. We're still in turn 1, okay. So let's do that. Yeah, I just skipped the whole, yeah, okay. We draw another fascist card. And this is Death of Durruti. And this adds 4 attacks. And it says A, that's the Aragon front. And the Aragon front already has 4. So now it would have 8. So we add 4 more here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 5. There's 8 there in the Aragon front. And in the Madrid front, it adds 1. So there's nothing in the Madrid front. So we add 1. And we have that there's no bonus for, you call it here, the teamwork. And that's already off, that bonus. So there's no effect with that. And here we see the test that if the Aragon front doesn't improve to -1 or better, then we're going to lose our morale bonus and won't be able to use the icons in the tableau, the cards with the icons, which has that cumulative effect. So that is the test. But now each of the players plays their cards. So now we move to the players playing their cards. So let's roll here to see which card the moderates are going to play. 1. Okay, now they play this card, which is food anarchist for anarchist ministers. Okay. Okay, so this is a card that brings a lot of anarchist and communist tracks down if we use the icons here. And if we combine those with any card in our tableau, and we have the collectivization, which is the second icon, you see it there, we have it also in the tableau. So you see it there? So if we would play this card for the action points, we would have 1 action point, but we would have 2 action points if we use it for reducing collectivization, because it would be this icon here that you see here and the icon that we have in our tableau there. And that's the effect that we would have, and that's an example of how the morale bonus applies. And morale bonus is on. That's why you see here this marker. That's why we can use the icons in the tableau, because this is on. If this bonus is off, we cannot use that. So let's say that that's what they're going to do. That's what the moderates are going to do. They're going to play this card for action points, but you have 1 for reducing collectivization there, plus the 1 in the tableau. So that's -2 on the collectivization track. So that brings the marker from 6 to 4. And that's going to piss off, obviously, the anarchists. They're not going to be very happy with that. Now, that card was played for the action points, so it also goes to the tableau. So now notice that the use of these icons is going to have a multiplying effect in the next turn if we want to use them for the icons that you see there. Okay, so that is the moderates. Now we go to the communists. Here we have the communist cards. Let's spread them out a little bit. And we have, let me see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so let's roll the die. And it's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to play this one. And this one is Madrid Defense Council. Let's take a look at this one. It's a 1 card. If used for action points. And it also brings another one of the anarchist tracks down. It can move government in one direction. It would give the communists the government. And it can bring one army or army piece there onto the board. Let's take a look at the communist tableau to see if they want to use the icons in the tableau. You see there, they have the Stalin portrait there. That's the Soviet aid track and also government. So they could use this particular card that they have in this turn. Instead of bringing one army, they could use it to move government 2 spaces. But notice that the Aragon front is very delicate, in a delicate situation. It has 8 nationalist armies, but that pertains more to the anarchists. So let's say that the communists are greedy, so they're going to go and they're going to play this card for an action point. They have one government icon here, 1, plus the one here in the tableau, 2. So they're able to move the government icon 2 spaces in their favor. Look what happens now. So what happens is the government icon moves 1 and 2, and now there's a trigger here, and that means that Soviet support is increased by 1. Now, triggers only happen once in the game, so we have to place one of these blank markers because they won't happen again. So now Soviet support goes up by 1. So you see Soviet support here, which was at 5. It now goes to 6. And that's important for the communists because they have to get it to 8 in order for the marker to enter this area here, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So that is the communist card that they played. So we place the card here in the tableau. And now it's the anarchist turn. And the anarchists have a ton of cards here. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're going to roll a 1d10. Let me get a 1d10 somewhere around here. Let's roll a 1d10. And it is, okay, 8. We don't have an 8, so let's roll again that 1d10 until we have something from 1 to, no, that doesn't count. Let's get a 1d10. Here we go, 1d10, that's a 10, no. Let me get again, let's get a 1d10 again. Okay, 10, that doesn't want it, the die doesn't want to roll. Let's give it a little break. There we go. 1 to 10, and it is a 6 this time. Okay, so we have a 6, and the 6 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so it's this card. Collectivize agriculture. It's a 1 card. But if we use it for the event, it's a +4. We could use it to remove one of the nationalist armies from Aragon. Aragon is at -8. It's about to fall. So, see, normally in a real game, probably the anarchist will bring the card that has potential for more armies. But we're just going here to show you how the procedure works. So let's go collectivization here, +4 and draw a card. So that's what we're going to play. And it goes for the event. So it is removed from the game. And collectivization increases by 4. So it is now 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we have 2 triggers. We have 1 for an army. And then we're going to place that army in Aragon. And we have another trigger to increase the, that is the Liberty track. See where I find the blank marker somewhere? Okay, here it is. So we got an army and the Liberty track. Okay, the Liberty track is up here. So it goes to 5. And we're going to take an army out of Aragon. So at least now it's at 7. Which is still pretty precarious. And what other? I don't think we have anything else there. You have to draw a card for the anarchists. So we draw another card and armored vehicles. So that's second round there. Okay. So now we've done a second round of cards. Each year is 4 rounds, so we have to keep on going here. Okay, let's see what the next phase is. We resolve the fascist tests. Here we have the fascist test. The Aragon front is at -2 or worse. So that means that particular, we have here, that we lose the morale bonus. We can't use the icons. Nobody can use the icons anymore for now. So that means that we take this marker here and place it like this. So now nobody can use the icons, and you would have to spend points or given by the cards or hero tokens. We haven't talked about hero tokens. I don't think anybody has earned a hero token. Let's talk about hero tokens. The game includes these hero tokens, and players can use these hero tokens as currency here. Here's how you earn hero points. If you add the first strength token to a front reaching a value of +1, which has not happened. If you contribute to success on the turn's test, and that hasn't happened, or you contribute to victory on a front. Now, this is what you can spend hero points on. Oh, I wasn't showing you the card. Here's how the hero tokens are earned. Adding the first strength token to a front, bring it to +1. That does not happen. Contribute success on a turn's test or victory on a front. That has not happened either. And here's how you can spend hero points by moving a track in the direction that you want. For each space, you pay a hero token. Or you can turn on a bonus. So if we want to turn back on that morale bonus and we can use those icons again, we have to spend 2 hero tokens. And there's also 1 hero token to draw a card or to use certain medallions. These medallions are earned when the markers on the track reach the ends there. You see the medallion symbol. Then a player that reaches one of those symbols can pick a medallion, and medallions give you bonuses. Like this one gives you a +1 to the card each turn. You get an additional card each turn for the rest of the game, stuff like that. You get these bonuses there, but you got to reach the end of the track. And you can spend any number of hero tokens during your turn, and there's some events and fascist cards also take hero points away. So those are hero points. And at the beginning of the game, because the moderates had the initiative, the other two sides, the anarchists and the communists, each begin with 2 hero points. So they have 2 hero points. Okay. So we've been at it for 56 minutes. So let me see here. We got William, our Basque and Catalonian separatist, given any role in the game? Not directly. As you correctly point out, the Republican side had more factions than what you see here. Here you have communists, you have anarchists and moderates, but the moderates, they have an interest in the northern front, so that's where the Basques are. So I think they lump them together there, at least the Basques up there, but they're not given particular factions in the game. The moderates are just like liberal Republicans mostly, but so I think that's the short answer to that. In games like Crusade and Revolution, which this is, I'm thinking about doing a video comparing the cards in this game to the ones in Crusade and Revolution. You're going to be surprised how that game, Crusade and Revolution, which is purely a war game, a military strategy game, factors in all these internal struggles between these sides on the Republican side. Of course, they are negative to the Republic, and so they tend to be nationalist cards, nationalist events that you play, like to recreate the infighting by these factions. But it does it really well. I've seen a lot of the situations that are depicted here, and they are also replicated in Crusade and Revolution. So I wanted to go just for 1 hour. I will be doing an edited video showing this game in an edited fashion. I think this game is something unique and new that brings this type of struggle. That you're playing all as part of an alliance, and I think it's something something that is refreshing and new that I haven't seen before. I like what I've seen so far. I'm not an expert on the Spanish Civil War, but I think it does a really good job in also bringing the events of the Spanish Civil War to life. It's a card-driven game. You have a lot of details here. You have the death of Durruti, which was the leader of the anarchist in the Barcelona region. There, he was mysteriously shot by some friendly fire. So there's a lot of very interesting events in the Spanish Civil War, and it's a war that it's not as covered as much as World War II, but it is very important in the sense that you see all these political tendencies converging in a struggle before World War II, and you see, of course, the aid by Hitler and Mussolini is reflected in the game. You see this deck here. This is the year one deck, and it brings these cards with these armies that you see there, the armies. When the next deck is introduced, which is the year two deck, the armies are going to increase. So you're going to see the amount. Look at this, 6 armies in the north. It increases, and that in part reflects a couple of things. You see the change from columns of militia on both sides to more professional armies, and then on the nationalist side, the assistance by Germany and Italy. Here you have a card, fascist air supremacy, and the game it calls the nationalist fascists. It's a simplification. I mean, not everybody on the nationalist side was a fascist. You had Carlists, which were like royalists and other people, but it simplifies that in a sense, as well as not everybody on the Republican side was a communist. So here you have the events of the third epoch, which is last year of the war. So I think it's something that I was looking forward to when this is the first game by Blue Panther, and it's on a really interesting topic, which is the Spanish Civil War, and a very interesting take, something very different from what we've been used to in Spanish Civil War games that mostly focus on the military side of things. This focuses on the political aspects of each of these factions, which were so different, but that they had to fight together to survive, and historically they lost. The other side didn't have these problems that they had. They were a much more unified side. So let's see here. See, we got Jeffrey. Yes, I think 3 players who know the history. Knowing the history helps a lot to understand the conflict. It would be good, and I think this is a game that is better with 3 players, even though it has rules for AIs, for bots, but you have to eliminate some of the cards, so it's better with 3 players. It's a different kind of game. Yes, definitely it is. Yes. So let's have here another comment. The graphics are very thematic. Yes, I think it's it's not a game that you would be used to seeing, like just one side. Everybody's on the same side, but the dynamics of these tracks, I think, make the game very interesting, because the more that you strengthen your own track for an aid, which is important for the moderates to gain government, you're screwing your opponent. You're screwing here the anarchists, and so it's everybody has to swim in the same direction to beat the nationalists, but at the end, everybody is trying to score the win, and I think that's the way it emphasizes why the Republic lost, because sometimes diversity is not a strength, like happened to the Spanish Republic. They could not get along. They could not be a cohesive force against the nationalists. And the nationalists, early on, Franco dominated the military side of things, and even before the first year of the war was over, he was already the head of state, so he didn't have any problems in governing the part of Spain that was under nationalist control at all. So that is something that the Republic could never, ever do. So I want to thank you for showing up. It's been an hour and 4 minutes. I'll be doing a edited video on this game. I think it's something that deserves a little more attention, and with an edited video, you can capture more details. So I hope you enjoy that. I'll be doing this Saturday. I'm going to be playing the Spanish Road, and that is this game with the designer. I'm going to be live. I'm going to play this game, the Spanish Road. I think you're following the bomb runs. This is a game that we've been giving away. This was the game that was given to the attendees at the BellotaCon this year. We're going to be playing a full game. Daniel Hernandez Iniesta, the designer, is going to be with me, and he's going to be from Spain, so he's going to be my guest. And that's going to start at 5 p.m. Eastern. So that should go for a maximum of 2 hours. We're going to play the game and see what happens, if we can drive our Spanish army from Lombardy to Flanders or not. So, and on Sunday, we're going to have a bomb run, and we're going to show a game that I received recently, and which is not a new game, but it is a new game in a sense, which is this one. This is, the Russian campaign. Let me see if it wants to stand up here. There you go. The Russian campaign, 5th edition by GMT. This is one of those classic games that introduced the concept of the double impulse. You move, resolve combat, then move again, not as much as before, and resolve combat again. And you were able to recreate these huge encirclements of Soviet forces, and then later during the war of German or Axis forces, in a very straightforward manner. So I think this game remains a favorite because it's mostly playable. You can play it in one sitting, one full day, and capture the whole Eastern Front there. This is a very nice edition with 2 maps. I have the mounted maps also. Those are 2 full-size maps. I'll be able, hopefully, to fit them on this table. You'll see them. And we'll go through the components. And there's a lot of rules that have been added to the system throughout time. But it's those rules that, if you have the Avalon Hill 2nd and 3rd editions, they're all there. So this is a production by John Krantz, very nicely done. Counters are 5/8 of an inch. So we will be showing this on Sunday. So we have Camino Español Saturday and Russian Campaign Sunday. And next week, hopefully I'll be able to publish the video on Land and Freedom, which is the game that I wanted to play a little bit here so that you get an idea of what it's about. So thanks to all of you for showing up to another impromptu and unannounced video. And I got the mounted map, yes. So I'll be seeing you this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And as I always say, this is Stuka Joe signing off for now. Thanks for watching.